and the events that I've been hosting down at Spirit Mountain, all of those things spill into the weekends. And so it just happens that I'm going to end up working 31 consecutive days before my next day off. I didn't plan it that way. I didn't know it was going to be that way. It's just the way that the cookie crumbles sometimes and the way your schedule works out. So no golf yet. But I did head on over to Golf Tech last night, and I spent some time practicing, primarily on 60 to 62-yard chip shots with my 60 degree. And I'm telling you what, for those of you who are golfers and have yet to experience the indoor simulator machines, you got to check it out. It is truly awesome. And my coach is at Golf Tech, and as part of my lessons and the coaching I get from him, I get access to Golf Tech each and every week. And it's been great because even when your schedule is whack, you can step in and be able to squeeze in 30 minutes of practice time. You know, I kind of look at it like working out, where anything that's important to you or a priority, you'll make time for. And so I never miss my workouts, and I always carve out time for my indoor practice. But what I love about the indoor simulator now, when you go into a practice mode, you can pull up almost any course in the country, and you can pull up a specific hole, and you can place the ball anywhere you want to practice certain shots from different yardages. And every time you hit a shot, you'll hit a shot. It will show you where it lands. It shows the contour of the greens. You get all the feedback on your shot, your swing, how many degrees inside to out, spin rate, everything you want to know about a shot you've got. And so I can practice specific shots that I know I'm going to end up with on certain courses. And as soon as you hit a shot and it's complete, you go right back to the same spot. So it's much better than hitting on like a virtual driving range, because you can practice certain shots with trees and all the other obstacles, water, everything else you would experience on the golf course. You can do it from indoors. So when the weather is crappy or it's cold or it's raining, you get a chance to go inside and work off the simulator, and I absolutely love it. Now, it's not the same, but, you know, being outdoors and being on, you know, grass with the conditions, you know, like sometimes mushy ground or wet conditions or different types of conditions you're going to find outside with the wind, you can simulate a lot of that indoors, but it's never the same. So it's not perfect. It's great. It's not an exact replication, but it's darn close. And the technology is getting better and better. And so what it allows is, when you live in a place like we do, unfortunately, where it rains so much during the course of the wintertime, it allows you to continue to work on the game. And so over the last few years, you know, when the golf season is open, and mine's coming up here in less than 3 weeks, I step from indoors right to the course. And because I've been practicing, you know, it's not like I just put my clubs away and haven't seen them for like 8 months, right? I'm able to head right to the course and just continue to proceed forward with all the different things my coach has me working on. So, and you've got many different Golf Tech, and, you know, Mike Barrett opened up some spots in town. So there's plenty of indoor simulators now. Heck, even Spirit Mountain Casino, they just put it in. It's been in for, I don't know, 6 to 8 months. They've got a Top Golf suite now that's in the Peak Gaming area right next to the sports book. So you can schedule time and be able to play a round of golf. You can play different games on it, but they've got the Top Golf suite right there where you can, you know, get a chance to play and work on your game. And the clubs are provided, or you can take your own clubs in, like if you're going to a Top Golf out in Hillsboro. I just think it's pretty sweet because it allows you to continue to work on the game. So that's where I'm at. So golf season coming very soon. The weather today is spectacular. This is a brief moment before we're going to get more rain. But I woke up this morning. In fact, last night when I left work, you know, I have gotten into the habit of kind of double jacket action over the last few weeks because it's been pretty nippy outside. I walked out of work last night, and of course what's great with the longer days now, the sun's not going down until closer to 8 o'clock, and I think the sunrise, it's getting earlier now. I think it's right around 7 a.m. right now. There's nothing better than the sun coming up early and going down late. I love the long days, but last night it was nice because I walk out of work after the show. The sun's still out, and it was 73 degrees. I'm like, why am I so hot right now? Well, it's because it was freaking 73 degrees outside. I just love that kind of stuff so much. Also, this weekend, on Friday and Saturday, I'm going to be at Spirit Mountain Casino for the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8. I'll be down there on Friday, broadcasting live from the Sportsbook at Spirit Mountain Casino from 3 until 6. I'll be there on Saturday from 1 until 4. And I'm going to be down there talking hoops as we continue to press through the basketball tournament. And so I want you to come down and join me because it's a great place to hang out. The Vegas-style sports book, they've got the cushy chairs. so you can sit and have plenty of room and you don't feel crowded. I get claustrophobic sometimes, so when I'm around a bunch of people or in a big crowd and you got people pressing up on you, like I don't feel comfortable in those type of situations. Especially like certain sporting events or concerts where you got just shoulder to shoulder people. Like I like people and I like to be around people, but I don't like that sensation where I don't feel like I can move. And if there was some type of extreme situation going on, I don't want to feel like I can be trampled. Crazy. But there at Spirit Mountain, you can have a bunch of people there because it's so wide open and big. Cushy chairs. They got the video wall with screens in all directions. You've got 10 Barrel Brewing where you can get something to eat and grab a brew and then be able to hang out and watch some basketball. So I'll be down there Friday 3 until 6, Saturday 1 until 4. I'll have prizes to give away. So if you're looking for a way to sneak out so that your significant other doesn't get mad at you for sitting on your bum and watching hoops all day, get down to Spirit Mountain Casino. I'm not going to make fun of you or belittle you because you're failing to get onto your honeydew list. I'll be there to support you and give you prizes. So get down there Friday 3 to 6, Saturday 1 to 4. All right, when we come back, a couple of different things I want to get to. Tragedy for women's college basketball last night. I'll explain that. And we'll hear from Tamani Kamara, who is one of my favorite Trailblazers right now and one of the terrific young pieces, one of the building blocks moving into the future. And then Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday, your chance to see the Spurs and Trailblazers on April 6th. We'll give away a pair of tickets coming up at 4 o'clock here on the Rip City Drive. Will Smith might be a douche for slapping Chris Rock, but that's a great song right there. That takes me back to the summer of 1991. That was a great summer. I was preparing for my junior year of high school. I went on a sweet trip for a couple of weeks down to California with my buddy Jeff Daly. And we drove down, and we had a lot of great experiences down there. Went to an Angels game. Got to hang out on the beach, did some body surfing. And my favorite part was the Rams training camp, back when John Robinson was the head coach. And the access to the players back then was phenomenal. I forgot where it was or what campus they practiced on, but it was all outdoors. And, John Robinson was one of those L.A.-type guys where if it was sunny, which it was most of the time down there, he was all about it. But if it rained, they were going indoors. They were not going to be outside. He didn't want to get his hair jacked up. But I had a chance to meet Jim Everett, Jackie Slater, who played football in like 4 or 5 different decades, Henry Ellard, who was a terrific wide receiver, and Marcus Dupree was on the Rams team at that time as well. And I just remember John Robinson riding his ass. This is back when coaches were old school and confrontational. But it was neat because when they would take a break in practice, the players would all roll over, and all we had was this little thin yellow rope that was separating us from the players, and they would come over and come under the ropes and hang out with us. And Jim Everett was one of the coolest guys ever, and I got a bunch of autographs, and we had a blast. That was fun. That was good times. I remember Jim Everett. I had a David Robinson basketball shirt on. That's back where I used to buy a lot of shirts over at like Pro Image at the Van Mall, and I had a Robinson shirt on, and he goes, "Hey, nice shirt." And he goes, "I like David Robinson." And he started telling me why. He was engaging, and I'm just looking at him like, dude, you're like an NFL quarterback. Why are you talking to me? That was a good time. But the summer of 91 was definitely a good one. All right, a couple of different things I want to get to here. One, the NBA has informed teams today that it intends to raise the salary cap by 10% next season. And according to Bobby Marks, the growth in the salary cap next season is the maximum allowed and aligns with projections the NBA sent teams last June. In a memo sent to the teams, the league said that the salary cap is projected to be $154.6 million, and the luxury tax is projected to be $187.9 million. Marks went on to say, in addition, the first apron projects to be $195.9, and the second apron at $207.8, higher by $17.8 million from this season. Teams were also informed that those below the luxury tax projects to receive $11.5 million distribution from the 10 tax-paying teams. Despite the growth in the salary cap, ESPN projects the Brooklyn Nets to have more than $50 million in cap space next year. The list of potential star free agents this summer includes LeBron, Kyrie, and James Harden. All three have a player option for next season. So that's the latest on the salary cap. One other piece of news, too, kind of disappointing because I really like the guy. I've had a chance to talk to him on a couple occasions, and he always came across as really nice. But this is a perfect example of the new day and age of college football. Stanford recently hired Andrew Luck, superstar quarterback, to be their general manager. And today he fired their head coach, Troy Taylor. And according to a report that surfaced last week from ESPN, Troy Taylor was the focus of 2 separate investigations that centered around the football coach bullying and belittling female staffers within the athletic department. A decision was made to move on from their coach. According to the reporting and documents obtained by ESPN, Troy Taylor was the focus of 2 investigations led by outside law firms looking into accusations that the coach made inappropriate comments about a female's appearance, along with also trying to have a compliance officer fired after being warned that he was violating multiple NCAA rules. That's not good. Inappropriate comments to a female staffer and then trying to bully the compliance officer after they made you aware of your violations. The first investigation into Taylor started after multiple employees filed complaints with the school saying that they were the recipients of aggressive and hostile behavior from the head coach, along with personal attacks. The investigation started in the spring of 2023. So there you have it. Troy Taylor is out, and this is the way it's going to look now in college football, where these big-time programs are going to have GMs now They're going to be solely responsible for the operations of their football program. And Andrew Luck is about as good as it gets, especially with the family he comes from and his father. The experience he has playing the game. He's a really super sharp, smart individual. That was probably a pretty good hire by Stanford there. Big believer in Andrew Luck, and he's got a passion for Stanford, so he's going to be on top of it. But this is the way I look at the story, and this is just the initial report. But here's my question. How bad must it have been with Taylor for the Stanford Cardinal to fire him today? Now, keep in mind, he's coming off back-to-back 3-win seasons. He went 3-9 and 3-9 in his first 2 years, so he's getting ready for year number 3. So the fact that he didn't win games is a major contributor to him being capped right now. But seriously, how bad was Taylor and how awful was he with the people around him for him to get fired today? This is like the worst possible time to fire a college football coach, because now the players on the roster can all have the opportunity to transfer. They're going to have an open window to be able to transfer. And where the hell are you going to find a coach? What do? Do you go out and find a full-time head coach and hire him now? Do you bring in an interim head coach to, maybe right the ship until the end of this upcoming season and then go out for a coach search? Like, what in the flip do you do? So it's really an awful time to make this type of move. But that tells me right there that Andrew Luck knew he had no decision other than to fire Troy Taylor, even if that put the program in a temporary awful spot. But when I met Taylor, I walked away from the conversation like, wow, really impressed, super sharp, and very smart. But as you know in life, you never really know what goes on behind closed doors. And it turns out that Taylor was belittling and saying inappropriate comments and all of that. But, man, it must have been really bad for them to fire him right now because it's a bad timing. Where are you going to find a head coach? Anyone that was good or available has been gobbled up already. So do you bring in an interim and let them run the ship? I don't know what you do there. But what a mess. An absolute mess. Horrible. One other note that happened last night as I was flipping around, I was watching the unfortunate result with Phoenix and Milwaukee. I was hoping that the Bucks were going to be able to pull out that game down in Phoenix to give the Blazers a little more life going into the game tonight against Cleveland. But they couldn't get the job done, and the Suns somehow found a way to win the game. And let me say this, too. The Milwaukee Bucks are going nowhere. They're not a very good basketball team. They played an uninspired game of basketball last night. And Giannis, as great as he is, and he is great, he can't even make a free throw when it matters. Nice job. I will never understand it, why guys can't make free throws in the NBA. And I think what it comes down to is it's not the proper amount of work or dedication to the craft. And again, I go back to the sports science episode with Sasha Vujacic from the Lakers. A great free throw shooter. And they were trying to see if someone of a different size with giant hands, longer legs, if it made a significant impact on your ability to shoot free throws. So they took Sasha Vujacic, a great free throw shooter. They put him on stilts. They gave him oversized hands, like these weird gloves he had to wear. And guess what the result was? No matter what they did to Sasha, he was still draining free throws like it was nobody's business. I don't understand Giannis. You're too good and too dominant of a basketball player, one of the best in the world, and you can't make your free throws? It's a bizarre situation. I never understood it. And if you can't make it one way, then call up Rick Barry and have him teach you how to do it granny style. You get to the line too much to not be able to put those in. Same thing with Shaq, too. How much would that guy have averaged if he actually would have made free throws on a regular basis? That stuff drives me crazy. And Chris Murray of the Blazers. He's got a great shooting stroke. He's below 50% at the foul line this year. How's that possible? I don't know. Maybe some guys it's mental, but I think for a lot of guys it's just not enough, work and dedication to the craft or a willingness to shift and change and do whatever is necessary to make more free throws. Mind-numbing. But the Suns are terrible too. They're a bad basketball team. What a mess they are. They're probably going to fire Ishbia is probably going to fire Budenholzer after the year. They'll probably stumble into the play-in, but they don't play defense. They're not connected on that end of the floor. Kevin Durant, while still a great player, is not nearly the defender he once was, and you can tell that those guys don't like playing with each other. And I love Kevin Durant as a basketball player. He's a gym rat. He loves ball, and he's a terrific talent. Great two-way player. And he's been playing and doing it at a high level for a long period of time. But why is that guy miserable everywhere he goes? The Suns are a mess. What a joke. if I was Ishbia, I would have everyone on the roster up for bids and just go with a full-on wholesale change, whatever is necessary to get that team back on track. But he probably won't do that because new, young, and aggressive tycoons who take over NBA teams, they usually have to learn the hard way. Being aggressive, giving up too much in deals, bringing in aging superstars, it blows up in their grill, and then they have to reset. That's probably where he's going to go. But they're a mess. They don't like playing with one another. They don't even attempt to play defense. I'm not really sure what they're trying to do on defense, but they were able to get the job done last night. That was a waste of my time. There's certain sporting events I wish I wouldn't watch. And then in the middle of all that, I saw a horrific injury go down, and I don't like seeing this kind of stuff.
Russell, top of the key, down the left side of the lane, goes up on Iriafen, stripped by Kiki, ahead to Watkins for USC, down the right side of the lane, and she grabs her left knee as she goes down. Watkins is holding the underside of her left knee in a lot of pain.
All right, if you saw the highlight of Juju Watkins of USC, if you've been watching sports for an extended period of time, every sport fan knows what went down there. As soon as she went down and grabbed the backside of her knee, it's like, there's an ACL. And that's the report, a torn ACL for Juju Watkins. And this sucks because she's a superstar in women's basketball. And she was on a collision course in a showdown with Paige Beckers. And what stinks about this is that last year, we had Reese and Caitlin Clark. And we had those two. And watching Caitlin and Angel Reese and the stars, we had UConn, we had Juju. It made women's basketball, the tournament, so much fun. And now in this case, Juju Watkins is down. And because it's at the end of the season, my guess is she won't be ready to go at the start of next year. But this is the kind of stuff that hurts because you had a superstar and what she meant to USC. It was big for the women's game because you have two big names that were on a collision course to meet, two of the all-timers, and now Juju goes down. And I hate watching injuries. I'm one of those people where if I know it's bad or if someone tells me it's bad, I don't need to see injuries or people getting hurt. I don't like it, and I don't like to watch it. And so I took one look, and I was like, well, that's an ACL, and I didn't look at it again. And the worst part about social media is that they'll post those videos up in slow-mo so you can make sure you get every angle of the injury covered. And I've seen a few bad ones in my lifetime, and I don't need to see that stuff again. I'm just not I don't get squeamish at blood or anything like that. I just don't like seeing people get hurt. It's not cool. And I know what it means for Juju Watkins and how good she is and what she means to her team, and to have her go down like that and what that means for the women's tournament. That's the kind of stuff that's awful because I like watching stars. I told you, because of Caitlin Clark, I watched more women's college hoops and WNBA last year than I have in my entire life. Why is that? Well, because I like stars. Caitlin Clark is a star. I will watch her play basketball. Caitlin Clark is someone that I can't wait to see here in Portland when we finally have our WNBA team up and running. Doesn't matter the sport. Women's tennis, women's basketball, women's golf. If there's star power, I'm in. Same thing with the men's. Same thing with football. I don't like watching bad football teams with crappy quarterbacks. It doesn't excite me, and I tune out real quick because it makes me tired. I get sleepy watching bad quarterback play. In the NBA, if I show up to see LeBron and Luka and I get bums, I don't want that in my life. I want star power, man. That's why I'm having so much fun watching the Blazers right now, because they got 5 young guys who are working their asses off right now, and I love it. So I hate to see that for Juju, one of the bright young stars in women's basketball, and that sucks for USC, and that sucks for the women's tournament, and now we won't get to see the showdown with USC and UConn. It's a bummer, and I feel bad for her. All right, a couple of things I want you to hear from one of our favorite Trailblazers right now, Tamani Kamara. Very insightful, and he obviously has a pretty good understanding of defense and what the heck's going on. Well, they got torched by Boston, who hit 23 threes in that game on Sunday. And here's Tamani sharing his thoughts on that loss.
I think we didn't really do a great job on sticking to the game plan today. We had some things set up for how many threes they shoot a game. I feel like we still find a way to play good and kind of maintain the game throughout the whole time, but it's kind of like catch up to us a little bit towards the end.
And then Tumani went further into detail on some of the things they did not do.
There's a lot of screen and pop. I feel like our communication was not the best. I feel like me included, guards, we didn't really do a great job on switching those situations and kind of be more solid defensively. I feel like we went a lot for pump fakes also. Yeah, I think small things like that we usually don't do, and I feel like we need to get back to that.
All right, Tamani also shared his thoughts on Boston, who I think is going to easily win the Eastern Conference, defending champs. And you saw their execution without Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, or Jaylen Brown. They were still top-notch.
Everybody can play in any team. I feel like if you get to this level, I feel like anybody can come and have a night one day. They're not really stressing on that end. I feel like we're not really stressing on that end either. We've done a lot of people, and we've been able to compete against great teams. So I feel like it's just the high level of the NBA.
Yeah, the Celtics, it's pretty simple. If you can shoot, you're going to get playing time. And they found a great way to put those guys on the floor in a position to have success. And then you got the star power right now of Jason Tatum, who's having a sensational season. And he was great in that game on Sunday. Now, Tamani talked about the team and how everything they're trying to accomplish, it's got to be player-led.
I feel like every time we step on the court, our effort is almost unmatchable. We just got to be more patient sometimes. Yeah, just read the game better and see what's hurting us throughout the game and make adjustment throughout the game also. And I feel like it's more like something that got to be player-led in a certain way, because we're on the floor and we kind of figure it out, and the coach trying to help us as much as he can. But yeah, I think it's just we just got to keep maturing in that and take this loss and see what we can do better and keep moving on.
Oh, yeah. How can you not love him? Tamani Kamara is a great defender, and the best part is he's improving on offense, especially of late from downtown. He's making threes, and then he's developed this knack for a little pump fake and drive to the rim on the closeout guy. And if he continues to develop that, he's going to be just a sensational basketball player, because he's already top-notch, might be the best on-ball defender in the NBA. He harasses guys throughout the entire game, and now we're seeing him start to step up, launch threes, connect on them, and then when closeout defenders come out on him, he'll drive past them. He'll put the ball on the floor and attack the rim. So he's pretty much everything you want in a basketball player. But what I love about him and Denny Avdia, those are two guys on the floor that you know that they're going to be in the right position defensively. You know that they know what their assignment is and how they need to accomplish that. Now, I'm not saying they're perfect. I'm just saying that those two guys are great defenders. And so what they can do with the other young guys on the roster, they can direct traffic. They can help with the communication that has to improve. And then they can hold guys accountable because they know where they need to be and they execute, and they can expect the same thing from their teammates. And because these guys are playmakers who are two of the best players on the team, and they've been the two best players on the roster all year, they can hold everyone else accountable. And look at what's happening because of their effort. Anthony Simons, Coach Billups just gave him praise a couple of days ago because of his overall effort on the defensive end, saying that, hey, Ant's not going to be a lockdown guy, but you got to give me effort. And that's what he's doing. And that's because you have guys like Avdia and Kamara who are out there selling out on a nightly basis. And then, when they show up at practice, they're going to play with the same type of intensity level. And they're going to expect that from their teammates. They bring real atmosphere to their practices. And I like that. And it reminds me of the great Chuck Daly, who coached the Bad Boy Pistons. He would always give praise to John Sally and Dennis Rodman, back in the Bad Boy era, for the way that those two guys challenged the veterans and brought real atmosphere to their practices. You want that type of competition in practice. You want teammates to hold each other accountable, and you want guys who are willing to compete and expect a high level of competition from their teammates. And that's what those guys do. But when you hear Tamani talk, you know how much it means to him. Defense and executing on that end of the floor is very important to him. And I'm just saying that I love everything about him. Man, his work ethic, he and Denny Avdia have been fabulous. And you know what you're going to get tonight from those guys? They're going to give you everything they got. It won't be perfect, but they'll continue to grind and battle and give you maximum, effort level, which is great. All right, we'll keep things rolling. I'll mention the Mariners. They made a smart decision today, locking up Cal Raleigh. Puka Kanua of the Rams has a unique idea, and it might be smart, and I wonder if this might be a trend we're going to see moving forward in football with certain players who value their health. And then 4 o'clock, we got Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday, your chance to get a pair of tickets to see the San Antonio Spurs on April 6th here at Moda Center. And for all of your Trailblazer ticket needs, simply head on over to trailblazers.com. And then Sean Hyken, our Trailblazer Insider, will join us at 4:20. I'm here at Moda Center, Section 330. I appreciate your time on this beautiful Tuesday. You got the Rip City Drive. All right, my favorite football team in college and favorite coach are down in the Valley at Arizona State, the Sun Devils. Really love Coach Dillingham and had so much fun following them throughout the season last year and going to the Big 12 title game and seeing them compete. I'm a huge fan of Kenny Dillingham, and he's really, I think, one of the young coaches that has a very good feel for how to run a program and how to do it the right way and how to embrace players in this new day and age of the transfer portal and NIL. Well, they had great success last year. They came out of nowhere to win the Big 12. They made the playoff, and they took Texas into overtime and should have won the game, but they couldn't come up with a stop on fourth down, unfortunately. But Kenny today at spring practice, one thing that was nice too, Xavier Guillory, Melquan Stovall, and a few others who have graduated. They showed up for the first day of practice to cheer on their teammates and the young guys who are ready to step up and move forward. And Cam Scadaboo was there, who I hope the Denver Broncos draft in the upcoming NFL draft. Love Scadaboo, one of my favorite college football players of all time. But Trenton Bourguet, who was a longtime senior, he graduated. He sent Coach Dillingham a text, and Coach Dillingham, of course, who took over at Arizona State a couple of years ago after being at Oregon and working with Bo Nix. Here's what he had to say about this text message he got from Bourguet. I love this. It's perfect.
Trenton Bourguet sent me a clip the other day. A sailboat doesn't sail on yesterday's wind. Like, there's not a better quote for this year than that. Is like, you don't go nowhere if there's no wind. And our leaders, our best players are the wind of our program. They're the guys that are going to push this boat, and everybody else is just going to be on the boat, and they're going to go with it. And our best players got to be the wind that moves this boat. It will only go as far as them.
Love that. That's Kenny Dillingham. Now, what he has done at Arizona State, he's developed this leadership council where the best players, the key players, the leaders on the team, they have a council, and they're the ones that set the tone for the entire team. They meet with the coaches. They discuss things. They discuss practice and different things they want to work on, and he allows those guys to set the tone for the program, which I think is really cool. Arizona State's going to be really good this year. They've got, I think, 17 or 18 starters returning, so they got a lot of talent on both sides of the football. But most importantly, they have one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. Sam Levitt from West Lynn, who had a sensational freshman year, is back, and, of course, he's ready to take that next step. He had 24 touchdowns last year passing, very few turnovers, I think another 5 rushing touchdowns. He's accurate. He delivers the football on time and on target, and he's a terrific competitor. So, big fan of Kenny Dillingham, and I can't wait until college football season gets underway. But it's going to be fun to see how they respond. Last year they were hunting. They weren't expected to do anything, and they ended up winning the conference. But this year they're going to be the hunted. How do the players respond in that situation where they're not going to catch anyone by surprise this time around? How are they going to get it done? And Kenny Dillingham, man, young, energetic, went to school at ASU, grew up in the Valley. It's like his dream job, and so far he's been killing it. But I love the way that he embraces players and their decisions. If they want to transfer and go elsewhere because they believe that's what's best for them in their career, he doesn't belittle them. He embraces them, and he wishes them best, and he tries to help them by letting everyone know that who might take a look at the player that you're going to get this type of player, and he explains it. He's young, and so he gets it. He understands the players better than some of these guys who have been around for a long time that are kind of stuck in the old ways of doing things. But this is a new day and age in college sports where players are getting money, players have freedom to be able to move, and what I think is great, I'm so happy for the players to have freedom of movement, where they can transfer out. If things aren't what they thought it was going to be when they signed up, they can go elsewhere. They have the ability to make decisions like any young adult would about what they believe is best. It doesn't mean their decisions are always going to be right, but they've got the freedom to make that type of choice. And I got so tired of players, being vilified for wanting to transfer or make change when coaches do it all the time, And so I'm happy. And Kenny Dillingham, instead of fighting the system, he's embracing it and trying to find a way to make it work the best that he possibly can. The Mariners did lock up Cal Raleigh for an extended period of time. I think it's a 6-year extension worth a reported $105 million. This is great because Cal Raleigh is one of those He's like a Tamani Kamara or a Denny Avdia. You know what you're going to get. A heck of a ball player. He's going to work his ass off, and he's not afraid to voice his opinion. He's got a strong voice within the team. And I think many Mariner fans were frustrated last year when he expressed some of his frustration after they missed the postseason, and Scott Service didn't have his back. Cal Raleigh is everything you want in an athlete. I mean, he's got the character, the work ethic, he can make plays, and he's going to voice his opinion. And teammates are going to look up to him. So, the Mariners aren't known for a lot of great decisions, but they do have the young core locked up pretty much moving into the future. And getting Cal Raleigh was a good choice. That was a good decision, and that's very good for the franchise. I think my daughter, she's going up for 3 games next week. I'm telling you, the reason why the tickets are so cheap is because the weather is not going to be very friendly. But if you want to take in some cheap baseball, the Mariners have some phenomenal deals for these early season games. And so Kaylee's going up to Seattle next week, and she'll be up there, I think, on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. She's going to take the train up, and she'll be there for a few baseball games. But, it's a good time of the year. I can't believe baseball season is here. I always hit a series somewhere. I think I'm going to hit the Yankees and Dodgers down in L.A. this year. That's going to be at the end of May, first part of June. It's a weekend set, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I did that same set a couple of years ago. So I think what I'll probably do is head down the day before the series begins, get situated in the hotel, go to a few baseball games, and then I'll take one day to hit Disneyland. And when I did it 2 years ago, I was staying in downtown L.A., took an Uber down to Disneyland, and I was there before it opened. Got a cup of coffee there off Main Street. They got a Starbucks there. And then once the park opened, I was there from the moment it opened all the way up until closing time, and I got 21 rides in. They got the Genie app where you can pay a few bucks to get priority positioning in line, so you can plan out your day to be able to hit different rides. And I didn't know about it, but they got the single rider line, which is amazing because it allows you to get on Space Mountain or some of these other rides in a very quick pace, because the single rider line, it goes fast. And what they do is they use the single rider line to fill in the gaps. Because some people like to travel in pairs, or sometimes you get a single. They fill in the gaps with the single rider line. So I got 21 rides in. 21 rides in a full day at Disneyland, which I felt like was pretty good because that place was packed. And my goal this time around is to be able to break that record. Let's see here. So last time, Pirates of the Caribbean 3 times. 1 time on Thunder Mountain, twice on Haunted Mansion, twice on the Millennium Falcon, once on Rise of the Resistance. Star Wars Land, it was my first time there. It's amazing. Soarin' the World twice. Guardians once. The Incredicoaster once. Cars once. Mickey and Minnie's Railway once. Space Mountain twice. 1 time for Star Tours and the Disneyland Train. And 1 time apiece for Indiana Jones and Small World. And I rode Small World in honor of my grandpa, my papa. But the unfortunate part is the rest of the time that stupid song was stuck in my head. I guess that'll happen. All right, we'll come back. Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday. I got a pair of tickets for the Spurs and the Trailblazers April 6th. Your chance to win is coming up next. All you have to do is listen to me for your chance to win. Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday coming up on the Rip City Drive. All right, what's up? 4 o'clock. The Trailblazers finish up their 7-game homestand tonight against the Cleveland Cavaliers, who have the best record in the East. Portland 3 games out of the final play-in spot in the West with 10 games to play. After tonight, the Trailblazers will head out on a 5-game road trip. Tip-off tonight is at 7. Chris Burkhardt will have game day from Moda Center at 5. And just a reminder, all Trailblazer games stream live for free on our free iHeartRadio app. According to Adam Schefter, the Titans, who have the number 1 pick in the NFL draft, walked away impressed from Cam Ward's workout Monday. The team could look to trade out of the top spot, but Ward's workout has increased the price. Also, this just in from Adam Schefter, the New York Giants and Super Bowl winning quarterback Russell Wilson have reached an agreement on a 1-year deal worth up to $21 million. It includes $10.5 million guaranteed. So it looks like it's Pittsburgh or bust for Aaron Rodgers. Stanford GM Andrew Luck fired head coach Troy Taylor, saying the program needs a full reset. See, Shacker gets it. He knows that every day with Phil Collins in your ear is a better day. A little Genesis for you. Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday, courtesy of your Portland Trailblazers. For all of your Trailblazer ticket needs, just head on over to trailblazers.com/tickets. And tonight it's the Cavaliers tip-off at 7 o'clock. Best team in the Eastern Conference, or shall I say the team with the best record in the Eastern Conference. I believe Boston is the best team, but the Cavs are 4.5 games in front of Boston right now as we near the end of the season, less than 3 weeks to go. I'm going to go to Mitch in Jersey in just a moment. If you want to jump on board, 503-248-0620. Today's Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday, we have a pair of tickets for the San Antonio Spurs, who are coming to Moda Center on April 6th. And I've got a simple trivia question. Which former Trailblazer holds the record for the most rebounds in a single game? 503-248-0620. 503-248-0620. First person with the correct answer gets a pair of tickets to see the Trailblazers and Spurs April 6th here at Moda Center. The question again, which former Trailblazer holds the record for the most rebounds in a single game? 503-248-0620. First person with the correct answer. Fire away with your calls right now, and we will find out who our winner is. All right, let's go out to Mitch in New Jersey. Mitch, long time no chat, my friend. What's cracking?
How you doing? What's popping with you? Hope the family's good. Good to see you in games. You know what Seattle's missing? Corey Seager's brother. He decided to retire. There was a third brother in their organization, but I guess it wasn't good enough to even get a cup of coffee.
Oh, you're a big fan. I was thinking about you, Mitch. Mitch, I was thinking about you last night and how I missed you, and so I'm glad you called today, man. How you been doing, Mitch?
I mean, I kind of wish I stayed working. If I hear FedEx, when I hear that, they're cutting down on sports stations and FedEx is going to downsize, it's just so scary out there. I hope everybody's doing well.
Now, are you fully retired now? Are you fully retired?
I'm fully retired now. I just have my wife, my daughter. It's like a tag team. Every day they can get on my child. My grandson, he's keeping me going. I strained my neck.
How old is your grandson now? How old is your grandson now?
He'll be 3 in July. July 11th. He's awesome. A sweet tea, if you want to know.
That's awesome, man. I'm sorry about.
No.
I'm sorry about Juju Watkins, man. I'm sorry about your USC Trojans, Juju Watkins, going down last night.
I couldn't believe it. That's like show here a turning moment. When he got hurt. He could have had a Cy Young by now under his belt. Maybe we'll get the Cy this year, but he's MVP favorite, I think. But I wanted to say 2 things. I like the Arizona State quarterback, and I keep thinking Pac-12, but they're Big 12. You got to remember that, like Stanford and Cal. I like their quarterback, Cal, but he transferred in the end. Cal is ACC territory. It's so silly. It's such bad management that it had to break up. I am really going off the tracks here, but I'm sorry. I like their quarterback. They got one of the best uniforms in college football. And you Portland Trailblazers, I like their young plays. Everybody's still complaining they're trying to tank. Can you imagine you guys get Cooper Flag? You're going to have 3 setters, but it's a nice problem to have, right?
Oh, that would be orgasmic. If they got Cooper Flag with a 2% chance, then I'm going naked for the rest of my life. That would be an amazing, amazing night if we find out they get Cooper Flag. That guy is a great basketball player. But you're right, Mitch. I love the young guys. Scoot, Shaden, Klingon, Tumani, and Denny have all shown flashes of brilliance this year in development. So the future is looking bright with those 5 pieces moving forward. I love it.
Don't forget Anthony Hardaway. And did you say you're going to go to the Dodger Stadium for those 4 days? No way I could do 21 eyes. I don't want to do no Space Man. But you're going at the end of May, huh? I feel like just run out of here sometimes. Just get away.
Now, wait a second. Now, what I was thinking is,
What?
do you want me to, if there's anything you want from Dodger Stadium, you got to let me know. I'll send it over to you again.
Hey, I know you're working hard. I'm fine. I got nostalgic here. No, I don't want to impose. You don't have
Okay,
to.
Mitch, I really believe this. I want to run this by you. No. But what about your grandson? What if he wants something? Maybe we should get him some Dodger. What if I get something for your grandson?
Well, that would be awesome. I'm speechless.
Okay, well,
Ohtani,
I think we should do it.
I know there's no more Cody or Corey T-shirts. I'm sure. 3T, 4T.
No, I love it. I'll do something. I'll take care of your grandson.
You're very
Mitch,
nice.
here's my question.
Go ahead.
No, I will. But I want to ask you a question real quick before you go. I think the Dodgers this year, my prediction for them, their win total in Vegas is set at 104. I think they're gonna beat the Mariners' record in 01 of 116 wins. I think they get at least to 117. What do you think about that?
I think 125 is minimum. They have all this money. They couldn't go after Harper or Judge or keep Corey and Corey. I'm a broken record here. I think 125 I expect, and it being the World Series, I don't know about the Yankees because they lost Cole. They don't have he signed with the Mets. I'm blanking on his name. The Mets.
That's okay. They got
Ohtani. No.
all you need to know is that they've got freaking Betts, Freeman, Ohtani, Soto. Yeah. Who cares? He's irrelevant now. He's with the Mets. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Mets suck.
Yeah, I know. I don't even recognize half the lineup on the Dodgers, but, it's what money buys.
Well, dude, all right. So great to hear from you. I'm going to take care of your grandson when I go down to Dodger Stadium. I promise you.
So thank you so much, Chad. Enjoy the game. I hope you guys
get
into the playoffs, though. All right.
I know. Well, there's 10 games to go. It's going to be tough, but they're going to try. There's Mitch in New Jersey. I love that guy. Love Mitch in New Jersey. All right, I think we may have a winner. We may have someone that has the right answer to the question. Let's go out to the phones and welcome in Taylor. Hey, Taylor, I appreciate the call. Welcome to the Rip City Drive.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. All right, you ready to I'm going to ask you a question, and then if you have the right answer, you're going to get tickets for the Spurs game. How does that sound?
That sounds great.
Okay. Who holds the record? Which former Trailblazer holds the records for rebounds in a single game?
It's Enes Kanter with 30 rebounds.
That is correct. Nice work.
Yeah.
All right, so Taylor, congratulations. You are the winner, which means you're going to get a pair of tickets for the Spurs game on April 6th.
All right. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Shacker, you can get her information and take care of her. Now, we heard from Mitch in New Jersey. One of my favorite moments in the history of this program, you got to keep in mind that Travis Demers, the voice of the Trailblazers, he grew up in New York. And so he grew up around a lot of people like Mitch with different accents and different craziness and stuff. And Travis has got Mitch down. So I had Travis be Mitch one day on the show. Take a listen to this. Let's say we go to the phones. We go to Jersey. We bring on Mitch. Give me your best Mitch in Jersey impression.
Hey, Chad. Thanks for taking my call. Hey, Chad. Travis, how you doing? How's the boys? That Justin Turner with my Dodgers. He was what? Come on. I mean, you weren't wearing a mask. You had COVID. What are you doing? And Corey Seager, he should have won the MVP. I'm just saying.
There you go. Thank you. Let's go out to the phones right now. The man, the myth, the legend, the one and only Mitch in Jersey. What's up, Mitch?
Hey, Travis, you better. How you doing, Chad? Travis, you better pray you don't run into me in a dark alley. I'm just kidding. I'm even shorter than you.
Hey, and then imitation is the best form of flattery, right?
I love that. One, because Travis nailed it, and two, Mitch was in pure laughter when we went to him on the phones. But Travis nailed it, and it's because he grew up with a bunch of guys like that. He grew up around a bunch of Mitches who talk just like Mitch does. And the way Travis sounded a few years ago when he nailed him is like the exact same phone call. But I've seen pictures of his grandson. He's a beautiful young one, and so I will take care of him when I go down to L.A. You know, it's like it's good parenting, you know, especially for grandpa, because my grandpa had a lot of influence on me in regards to sports, and my papa's the reason I became a big Bronco fan. So, you know, it's part of parenting. You got to share your thoughts, your influences, different things with your grandkids so that they can grab onto some of the things that are great. And so that's what Mitch is trying to do right now, which I appreciate. So nice work, and a big nice work by Taylor to knock it down. The answer to the question, of course, Enes Kanter. So you wouldn't think that, you know, you would think, oh, who are some of the names that would come to mind? Bill Walton, maybe Maurice Lucas, Joel Prisbilla. You know, those are some of the names that would come to mind. But Enes Kanter with 30 rebounds in a single game. And really, that was one of the more remarkable runs by, you know, the Trailblazers. Nurk gets hurt. You know, Kanter comes in and fills that position at the 5, and they get all the way to the Western Conference Finals. I thought when he went down against Brooklyn Nurk that the season was going to derail after that, and they just kind of galvanized and came together. And Kanter, you know, he just played with a lot of effort. Wasn't a perfect center, but, you know, he did enough for the Blazers to get to that Western Conference Final, which was nice. All right, here at Section 330 at the Pines, getting ready for the Blazers and Cavs tonight. Cleveland's got the best record in the Eastern Conference. Tip-off is coming up at 7. When we come back, Sean Highkin from Rose Garden Report is going to join us, and we'll talk some hoop with Sean. And after the Blazers are done with this homestand, they'll take off on a 5-game roadie. 10 games remaining. They're now 3 games back in the play-in, so we'll see how things shake out tonight. The Kings are in action tonight, but the Suns got the win over the Bucks last night to push it to 3 games for that final play-in spot. All right, Sean Highkin's coming up next. You got the Rip City Drive with Chad doing. All right, our Trailblazer insider Sean Hyken is here at Moda Center as we get ready for tip-off with the Trailblazers and Cavaliers. 10 games to go, and I watched the Phoenix-Milwaukee game last night. They're now 3 games back. It would appear that it's going to be a tall order to get into the play-in now after the results of the game on Sunday against Boston and what we saw last night. 3 games to overcome in 10 days or 10 games is tough.
3 games, they're 3 games back, but they're really 4 games back because they don't have the tiebreaker with either Phoenix or Dallas. So even if they finish, if they finish with a 3-way tie, or if they finish tied with either of those 2 teams, they're not going to get the tiebreaker.
Yeah, so essentially 4 games back with 10 games to go.
That's
That's tough, especially when the Blazers have a challenging 5-game road trip coming up after they play the best team in the East tonight.
Yeah, they play the Cavs tonight, and then they've got the Kings on Thursday. Then they go to New York to play the Knicks on Sunday, and then it's the Hawks. I mean, the last 3 games of the trip, if you look at who the opponents are, the Hawks aren't. They beat the Hawks already this year. The Hawks aren't that good. The Raptors are, as we saw the other week, openly not trying to win these games. The Bulls have actually been playing pretty well lately, but that's a team the Blazers also should be able to beat. So they can stay in it, but they need a lot of help from they need the Suns and the Mavericks to lose a lot of these games, and the Mavs just got Anthony Davis back yesterday against Brooklyn. So if I had to guess yes or no, are they going to be in the play-in? I'm still guessing no at this point, but they're not out of it yet mathematically. So until they are, we have to talk about it like it's a real possibility.
Yeah, I think you and I both knew, even when this became a topic of conversation, that it was going to be a difficult road for them to be in a position to make the play-in. But my question would be this, is that how valuable is it for a young team like Portland, even if they don't make the play-in, to be playing meaningful games all the way up until the end of the regular season?
Oh, it's huge. And, you look at last year. Last year was, this time of year, last year wasn't as bad as the 2 years before that, where by this point they were, shutting guys down with injuries, and they were, calling guys up out of the G League, and, you're looking at, Elijah Hughes playing a lot of minutes and C.J. Ellaby or whoever. There really hasn't been that much of that this year. And so now you're looking at, Toumani Camara getting real minutes, getting in games where the Blazers actually have to win these games in order to keep their standing alive in the play-in. Or Scoot's getting experience playing in these games. Shaden's back in the starting lineup the last couple of weeks. He's been getting experience playing in these games. I think they feel like that's valuable.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's valuable, and it only further helps their development process, which is very nice. I want to say this too. Watching the Suns, what a disaster they are last night. They won the game, but they're really difficult to watch right now. It looks like a team that doesn't enjoy playing together. They don't really have any level of commitment to the defensive end. What a mess they are. They're a disaster.
I mean, it's just you can switch out whoever you want to switch out. They make this trade for Kevin Durant, and then that summer they trade for Bradley Beal, and then your whole team is basically those 3 guys plus a bunch of minimum guys, and that's really just not a sustainable way to build a team. And then they change out all these. They fire Monty, they bring in Frank Vogel, they fire Frank Vogel after 1 year, they bring in Budenholzer. They're probably about to fire Budenholzer after this year. It's just not a good situation, and I don't know. They traded away all of their future draft picks, all their assets. So even if they do trade Kevin Durant this summer, which it seems like people are saying they might do that. Are they going to get as much back for a 37-year-old Kevin Durant as they maybe would have a couple of years ago, or anything close to what they gave up for him? And then, they could, if they wanted to, trade Devin Booker and just completely blow it up and start over. But if you read that interview with Matt Ishbia in ESPN,
it sounds like Booker's the only untouchable.
It sounds like both Book and Ishbia feel that way. I mean, honestly, a lot of
but what's crazy about that is that I'm looking at that team right now. I don't see how you could look and say anyone's untouchable.
No, I don't think so either. But I don't know, man. These new owners come in and they just think that they can just throw money at everything, and it's just not. It doesn't usually work that way.
It doesn't work that way, and that's okay. Ishbia. I think his heart's in the right place. But you're right. These guys come in, these young Turks with a bunch of money, and they try to make something happen right away, and then they have to fall flat on their face to learn how the NBA business works before they get a handle on how to do things. And I think that's the process that Ishbia is going through. So he probably won't come to his senses during this summer. He'll make another mistake before he truly learns.
Or he won't truly. I don't know. We'll see. when somebody's got that much money, you don't know, they just kind of play by different rules than everybody else does.
And I probably would too if I had billions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll be interested to see how this Celtics thing works out too.
Yeah, and that's why, I mean, like if you've made $1 billion and you're that successful, it would be hard not to have confidence that, I mean, I'm a self-made guy. Whatever I do has worked, so I'll figure out this too. You're right.
Yeah.
But we'll see how things shake out. But yeah, what a mess. And the Bucks too, not a very good basketball team.
No, and you're starting to get all these like leaks about, Giannis and Dame meeting with Doc about different things, and it just, that roster also is just like outside of those two and Brook Lopez, like they bring in Kyle Kuzma, who's like put up good numbers, but I don't think anybody's really, I don't think that's a team anybody's really afraid of in the playoffs, even in the East, which is kind of weak.
All right, you and I watched the game on Sunday with Boston. I know a lot of people are trying to find a way that Cleveland can truly contend in the Eastern Conference. This is no disrespect to the Cavs. I just think Boston is a cut above. Like their execution, and it's pretty simple. If you can shoot, you're going to be able to find playing time with the Celtics. That is a unique group. Their spacing and execution without Drew Holiday or Jaylen Brown or Kristaps Porzingis, they still look like a machine.
They just remind me of, you remember like about 10, 12 years ago, some of those San Antonio teams where, like, even if, Tim Duncan or Manu Ginobili or whoever was out, they can just plug in like Gary Neal or just one of these random guys that, would kind of be just like an afterthought on most teams. But like, to your point, Chad, the Celtics were missing 3 of their most important starters, and Sam Hauser comes. I mean, or even like that first game that they played against the Celtics in Boston earlier this month, Peyton Pritchard and Derek White each had 40 points. And then in the game on Sunday, Sam Hauser comes in and hits 8 threes, and like Baylor Shireman, their rookie that they got at like the end of the first round, comes off the bench and has some good minutes. And they just have this ability, and the great teams have this, is just this ability to just plug guys in. And there's just a baseline level of competence from like 1 through 15 on that roster that, no matter whoever's out, like they'll find someone who can just plug in and, be able to replace enough of the production that they're able to just run the system, and it's just going to work the way it's supposed to work, even if some of the bigger name guys aren't there.
All right, the Trailblazers tonight. The Cavaliers are in town. This is a team that they took to overtime in Cleveland a few weeks ago back at the beginning of March. What do you expect from the Trailblazers tonight? I thought they played pretty good basketball against Boston. I just think they were overmatched.
They played pretty well, I thought. I mean, they shot 50% from the field. They shot over 40% from 3.
19 threes, too, which is one off their season high total.
They only had 11 turnovers as a team, which is not that many. They played the Celtics even on the glass.
If you have 11 turnovers and 19 threes, you're going to win almost every other game against every other opponent.
The Celtics are just a buzzsaw. Now, I'm interested to see how tonight's game goes too, because the Cavs, they've been the best team in the Eastern Conference the whole season. Everybody loves, what a great story that is, the jump that they've made. They beat Utah the other night, which is another one of these teams that's openly not trying to win these games. But before that, they had lost their last 4 games in a row, and the Blazers, a couple weeks ago on that road trip, they played Cleveland pretty tough. They were up 18 in the second half in that game, ended up losing in overtime, and I know Donovan Mitchell didn't play in that game, but this is a game, like, I'm expecting this to be a competitive game. I'm not going to sit here and say I expect the Blazers to win it, because you don't expect them to beat a team as good as Cleveland, even with Cleveland slipping lately. But, I mean, the Blazers have shown they can hang with some of these teams.
Have you heard anything new on Chauncey Billups in his future?
No. I think that's all kind of status quo. I'm going to be interested to see how that goes in this off season, because I'm sure they're going to sit down and have a conversation. I'm at the point with it now where up until like mid-January, it was just, we've been talking about it like it was just a foregone conclusion. Like, yeah, there's no way he's going to be back. Like, everybody knows he's just not going to be back. I still think that's ultimately going to be the way that it goes. But I think at this point the two sides are going to sit down and actually talk about it before they come to whatever conclusion that they come to.
So it won't just be a situation where the season ends, we get the announcement that Billups and the Blazers have parted ways, and then there's no coach, and Cronin's at media, the exit interviews talking about how they're going to begin a coach search.
I mean, that could still end up being how it goes, but I don't think up until before January, I didn't think there would even be anything for them to talk about with each other after the season. Now it's like at least they sit down and say, hey, what do we think? And I think they're still ultimately going to come to the conclusion that they're going to end up, going their separate ways. But I think it's more likely that it's actually a discussion now than it maybe was 2 months ago.
What do you think Chauncey Billups wants to do?
I think he would be open to staying, but I think it would depend on, I don't think he would be that interested in these guys just picking up his fifth-year option for next year and saying, hey, we love what you've been doing the last half of this season. Let's do another lame duck year. Let's, pick up this option. You're going to be on another one-year deal. I don't think Chauncey would be too psyched about that. And then on the other side, I think he would be open to staying if they wanted to give him a real, a multi-year contract extension. But it's have they seen enough from this?
I didn't even think about that. So what you're saying is that it is highly unlikely if they bring him back that they would just pick up the option and have it be a lame duck year.
If I were Chauncey, I wouldn't be interested in that. I would feel like if you guys are going to bring me back, actually commit to me.
Yeah, okay. So under those circumstances, you're right. It's highly unlikely the Blazers would bring him back just by picking up the option.
They need to either give him, if they're good, what they need to do, there's really only two things that I think are real options and aren't insulting to everybody. They need to either give him a real contract extension, for multiple years, or let him go. Yeah. One of those two things is the only way that it can really go, I think.
Okay, so what would be the case for giving him an extension and bringing him back?
Well, you look at how they've played the last 2 months. You look at how much better they've gotten on the defensive end. You've looked at how different guys have responded to having their roles. You look at Shaedon Sharpe, gets removed from the starting lineup, and Chauncey is very publicly vocal about that being because he isn't playing well enough on the defensive end. Shaedon could have been like, oh, screw this, I'm just going to check out and mail it in for the rest of the season. He didn't. He's responded. He's been playing a lot better on that end. You look at the same thing kind of happened with Scoot early on. Since he started turning the corner, a lot of that was because Chauncey also, the way that he handled that situation and, the way he's empowered Denny to be more of a ball handler, the way he's trusted Tumani with some stuff, even Anthony Simons has bought in on the defensive end. Clearly the guys in the locker room still respect Chauncey, still want to play for Chauncey, still respond to Chauncey. I mean, it's, you look at the fact that, they had there was that kind of that turning point early in the season where they lose by 45 to Memphis when we all kind of thought they might do something that week. They didn't roll over. They won their next 3 games, and that just was a sign that he hadn't lost the team. And so that's between, the guys still buying into it and, the improvement, especially on the defensive end over the second half of the season. I think there is a legitimate case that Chauncey can make that it's not just, open and shut. Yeah, we're going to move on. He's not the right guy.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's pretty it's pretty remarkable that considering where things were at the beginning of the season or, last summer, that it's even a conversation. Now, I still think it's going to go the same way that I thought it was going to go for a year, but it's not just a 100% done deal that, there's nothing even to talk about.
Fascinating. Sean Hyken, our Trailblazer insider, is here with us right now. Again, even on Sunday, we saw contributions. Denny had the double-double. Tamani Kamara, another strong game. He's really picked it up from downtown over the last, few games, looking really good. I've noticed, too, I like this. The catch-and-shoot threes are nice, but I love this pump fake with the drive to the rim that he's added to his game.
Yeah, Denny's added a lot to his game offensively, I think. And especially, the three-point shooting last season with the Wizards, he shot 37% from beyond the arc, which was by far the best.
That's respectable.
But it was such a big jump from his first 3 seasons that when they made that deal, it was like, okay, is that going to be a sustainable thing?
Yeah.
He's right around, he's dipped a little bit, but he's still around 35, 36, which is still, it's respectable. It's better than he was his first 3 seasons in Washington. So that part is at least somewhat real. And then, you add in, the way he's able to get to the basket and, the amount of responsibility they've given him playmaking. He's gotten a lot better offensively.
And Shaedon continues to play well, had a good game on Sunday. He's been more aggressive the last couple of games. What I like is I think in the game on Friday against Denver, and this is a good number for a guy like Shaedon, he only made 1 3, but he was 1 of 10, which tells you that he didn't stop. That's what you want. That's what I want Shaedon to do. I want him to continue to be aggressive and fire away, even on nights where he doesn't have necessarily the percentages he wants, because a shooting guard needs to have that mentality to continue to attack.
Yeah, you want to see him be aggressive. I think he's been more locked in on the defensive end lately too.
How many players deep is this draft going to go in terms of real difference makers? We know Cooper Flagg's going to be great, but how many guys do you think? Is it 3 or 4?
You want to get into the top 4 because obviously Cooper Flagg, who we've talked about endlessly, and then the 2 Rutgers guys, Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper, and then the other one that I think is...
How do you have Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper not make the tournament?
I don't know. I'm the wrong guy to ask, but I mean it's certainly interesting. And then the other guy that I think is in that conversation that I've seen go, top 3, top 4 in some of these mocks that are starting to come out is VJ Edgecombe, the 2 guard out of Baylor.
Yeah. Who from last year's draft has impressed you as the season's gone along?
I really like Alex. Actually, we just saw him again with Washington last week, but Alex Sarr, I think, has really come along.
I think he had 20 points and 4 boards in that game against Portland. He looked pretty solid.
I mean, for a guy his size, the rebounding is still kind of a problem, but he's offensively, I think he's come along a lot, and defensively, I think he's that was where the impact was just always going to be. I think for him, I think he's going to be good.
Yeah, and of course Klingen's looked really good. With the Blazers in limited minutes.
Castle.
Yeah, no question about it. Castle's been solid.
Ron Holland also did both of the Ignite guys, actually, who I was not that high on. I saw them because the Remix played against them last year. I wasn't really into him or Modest Bazelis, but both of them have been playing pretty well.
Oh, lately the Bulls have looked really good, and Bazelis has been nice.
Yeah, and, I mean, these guys have one more game against them in Chicago in a couple weeks.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah,
on the road trip.
On the road trip, yeah.
Yeah, I like Bazelis. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you're right. I think Alex Sarr looked pretty comfortable out there.
Yeah, looking at this list, Zach Edey's been good. Reed Shepherd hasn't really played much. That was a guy that I thought was going to have a lot more of an impact his rookie season.
And I got to give credit to Edey because I thought he was going to be more or less kind of a bum. I was wrong. He's been serviceable for Memphis.
I think a lot of people thought that, and I know these guys liked him. I don't know if they would have taken him 7th if Klingen was off the board, but I think if they had kept the 14th pick and he was still on the board, I think they would have looked at him. I know they liked him. I know he had a good workout here. Yves Missy in New Orleans is another one that's been good. Jared McCain, before he got hurt, he's missed most of the season, but with the Sixers, he was pretty much the one bright spot they had this entire season.
And then the one player I like coming out in the draft, Cody Williams, who went to Utah.
Hasn't really done too much.
No.
I don't know.
Interesting how it plays out. Oh, by the way, Jason Tatum's having a great year.
Yeah?
Watched him close on Sunday. He's probably this season, he's kind of emerged as the guy for the Celtics.
I mean, he's been that pretty much since he got in the league.
But he's probably been top 3 in the league this year in terms of just his overall play. And what I like, too, about him is physicality, which Coach Wills talked about, but he's been available. He comes and plays every night.
Yeah, he doesn't miss game. I mean, he did miss that first of the 2 games they played against the Blazers, but yeah, generally speaking, yeah. Once you get it's clearly a 2-man race for MVP between SGA and Jokic, but Tatum's right after that. Tatum and Giannis are the next 2 right after that.
So who was do you know who the brainchild was? But because just a couple of years ago, the whole question was, can Brown and Tatum win a title together, right?
Uh-huh.
And then it's we had this shift where they suddenly just started surrounding those 2 guys with shooters. Who was the brainchild that came up with that idea?
I mean, you assume it's Brad Stevens, right? Once he moved out of the coach's seat and into the front office, you saw them kind of change the way that they built around those guys and moved some of those guys out and brought some guys in.
And clearly, Stevens, I thought at the time that, I really thought Stoudemire should have gotten the job with the Celtics. And then they end up going with Mazzulla.
Oh, when the Udoka thing happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they went with Mazzulla, and he's turned out to be a pretty good fit with them.
Yeah, I mean, can't really argue with the results. I mean, they knew what they were doing. I think the real sliding doors thing is I think Will Hardy would have been the guy if he hadn't just taken that job with Utah.
That's true.
That was the other guy from that staff that I know they really liked and saw as a future head coach.
Yeah, they've done a heck of a job. Missoula's look great, and they had that meltdown in the Eastern Conference Finals a couple of years ago, but they bounced back nicely from that. And if healthy, I just don't see anyone that can possibly compete with them. Cleveland, I love the way Cleveland's playing right now, and I guess the question would be this, and this is what the Celtics have. They have great movement, and they get a lot of guys who can shoot the threes, but when things break down, and postseason basketball is a little bit different because you have to have kind of a difference maker or 2 who can get you a bucket. And Brown and Tatum can both do that.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, is that going to be Donovan Mitchell for Cleveland? Who's going to be their ace in the hole when they need a bucket?
Well, it'll be Mitchell, but, it could be Darius Garland, although, he's had some issues in the playoffs in the past. Evan Mobley's taken a huge leap, but it's really Donovan Mitchell.
Any reason to believe that Shai Gilgeous won't win the MVP now?
I mean, I think there are still people that believe that
Jokic is the best.
Yeah. I mean, I don't fully. I mean, I'll be interested. I would guess that SGA probably ends up winning it, but no, I don't.
So what's Oklahoma City going to do with their incredible team and roster? So as they have some of these younger guys that are come up for payment, will they look to make deals and then continue to draft? Like, how are they going to continue to manage? Because some of those guys are going to make huge money.
Well, they've already got some of these supporting guys signed to like really, really cheap contracts, like the Aaron Wiggins and Isaiah Joe and some Lou Dort. Some of those guys, they've already kind of locked down on pretty team friendly deals. They have all these first round picks, so. It's going to be interesting to see how a lot of teams in their situation navigate, this new CBA and what some of the restrictions are. But yeah.
All right, one more question for you. We got the word today. The NBA salary cap is going to go up 10% next year.
Yeah.
What does that mean in general for most of the teams?
Well, some of the teams that are in the second apron may not be in the second apron or the first apron.
So they get some relief.
Yeah, and it becomes easier to. Because, you saw some, a lot of these teams that were maybe interested in acquiring some of these guys with bigger salaries, they couldn't because when you're up against these aprons, like you can't combine salaries, you can't do, you can't like trade two players for one, stuff like that. And so if everybody has a little bit more room to play with, it becomes easier, just logistically and mechanically to actually get some of these deals done, which you would think in this offseason there's going to be a little bit more movement than maybe there was at the deadline.
And of the Blazers veterans, Grant, Simons, Thibault, Robert Williams, DeAndre Ayton, who's the most valuable in the trade market, do you think?
I would say probably Simons is the most valuable in the trade market, but I think Grant is the one that should be the highest priority for these guys to move off of just because – you've seen enough from Denny Avdia and Toumani Camara that you need
them
those,
on the floor
those
together.
two need to be your long-term starters at the 2 forward position. So they got to figure that out this summer.
So it's not impossible that they could start next year with Simon still on the roster.
They could. I don't know. I that's a thing I think they need to figure out, but it's possible. I don't know.
That's funny. I know you're not in the business of trying to predict the Trailblazers anymore because you've been wrong. Tell me about the piece you're working on right now. All the times I've been wrong about the Trailblazers this year. That's a great idea, by the way.
I'm going through since last July and all the times that I would just wrote matter-of-factly that these guys were going to be one of the 5 worst teams in the league and be in the mix for a Cooper flag. And by the way, they thought that too. Like the people that make these decisions, they thought that was what their thought going into the season was too. Is that they were going to be one of these teams in record-wise with the Charlottes and Washingtons and Utah.
So they've got to be pleasantly surprised with the development.
If
of the
anybody told you they thought this was coming, they're lying.
Yeah, so even Joe Cronin did not anticipate them being sitting here at 32 and 40, 72 games in, right?
No, not at all. I can tell you that.
So you got to be happy in the front office when you see the young guys that you brought in, producing and developing and winning games.
And that's the thing that and this is the thing I've been saying since they kind of started going on this run in the second half of the season. If it was like Jeremy Grant that was driving all these wins, it would be like, okay, what are we doing here? This isn't really productive. But they're winning these games because Denny Avdia, Donovan Clingan, Scoot Henderson, Shaden Sharp, Toumani Camara, like those guys are the ones that are driving these wins. And someone in the organization a few days ago told me that a team stops rebuilding when the young players that they're rebuilding with decide that they're not rebuilding anymore.
Yeah.
So that's at least for the second half of this season, it looked like that's kind of what's happened.
All right, Sean Highkin, our Trailblazer insider from Rose Garden Report. Appreciate the time, my friend. Enjoy the game tonight.
Yeah.
And he's going to join me in studio tomorrow, so we'll get more talk with Highkin tomorrow. We'll come back and put a nice little bow on the Rip City Drive. Tip-off with the Cavs coming up at 7 here on 620 Rip City Radio. All right, Rip City Drive here from Moda Center, getting ready for Blazers game day, which is coming up. Let's go out to the phones right now. Raider Mike is hanging out somewhere. Let's find out where he's at. Raider Mike, are you somewhere in the Carolinas? What's cracking?
I'm at Appalachia State, the campus.
Nice. What the heck are you doing there?
I'm cleaning Boone up. I'm going to be here a couple of years. And now my new girlfriend goes there. So it's kind of – I'm going to be going to a lot of games there. I'll put it that way.
Wait a second. Your girlfriend is a student at Appalachia State?
Yes, sir.
How old is she?
It was her idea. She's 20. It was her idea, Jack.
Wait a second. Is it you, Raider Mike? You have a girlfriend that's 20 years old?
Yes, sir. She's beautiful, man.
No, I don't doubt that.
Say no.
No, wait a second.
No? Yeah.
Okay. It's one thing for you to call in, but then you tell me you have a girlfriend that's attending Appalachian State and that she's 20 years old. So what are you going, Bill Belichick on me here or what?
Yes, I did.
Okay, for the record, how old are you, Raider Mike?
I'm almost 60 in May. But I don't look 60. I don't act 60.
Okay, but what? Okay, but I'm just fascinated by this whole thing right now. Okay, so.
I bet you are. You're like, I'm coming to Boone.
Wait a second now. Okay, so what? Okay, aside from the obvious, what do you possibly have in common with someone that's 20? I'm just curious. I'm not criticizing. I just want to know, like, when you're having conversation, what is it? Are you helping her with homework and projects like Bill Belichick?
When she asks, but no, what she has over every younger female I've dated is a musical acumen that I've never seen from someone that age, ever.
Musical acumen.
Stevie Wonder.
Give me an example.
Marvin Gaye. Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye. The Smiths. Jane's Addiction. And she knows all the great bands from like the mid-'70s on.
And where did she get that education from? Oh, her mom raised her.
Her mom.
Have you,
just like
out of curiosity, have you met her mom yet?
No. That's going to be fun.
Oh,
especially if she's hot. Then we got a real story going there, huh? Anyway, I sent over a tape or a call that Money Mitch, as Q Myers calls him, called in, and then I called right behind him and did the Mitch impression and just had them all rolling. Just rolling. So, they call him Money Mitch there. And they all have impressions of Mitch too, but they said mine is nails. So Shaq's going to hook that up for you, bro. Let you listen to it.
I got to be honest with you. I don't care about your call.
Yeah.
I don't care about your call. I care about the fact that your girlfriend is 20. So what is she studying in school?
She hasn't decided. She's not.
Oh, my gosh.
She's close. She's thinking nurse. So I don't know.
All right. So where did you meet her, out of curiosity?
Well, it was that a dating app called Hinge, and she wrote this big long thing to me, and also she had heard me sing a couple times, so she likes the way I sing. So
okay.
Anyway,
well, well, enjoy that, Raider Mike. Enjoy that.
I am, dude. I love it.
Okay. Gosh. Geez.
All right. Be good, Chad. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. I would tell you to be good, but that's, yeah.
No.
Well, there you go. That's a perfect ending to the program. Raider Mike, his girlfriend is 20, he's 60, and she's a student at Appalachian State. I frankly have no idea where to go with any of that. He's going Bill Belichick right before our eyes, Raider Mike. Is she a Raider fan, Raider Mike? I mean, she loves all the old music. Is she a Raider fan? Does she like Kenny Stabler? Is she a big fan of speed kills like Al Davis was? Oh, my goodness. All right, Blazer Game Day with Chris Burkhart's coming up next. Big thanks to Michael Shacker. Enjoy the game tonight, and I'll talk to you tomorrow at 3 with the Rip City Drive.